Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. And today I would like to present this Maximum Metal High Powered Ordinance for Cyberpunk 2020. Because like most people, or many people, I've been playing the Cyberpunk 2077 game and enjoying it a lot. It does a fantastic job at world building, even if I feel like the world it's creating is slightly different to my image of Cyberpunk 2020. But that's perhaps my interpretation more, because obviously reading a book, you put your own thoughts into how things should look. And the game doesn't quite feel like that world, but it is an amazing world. But this week I'm covering Cyberpunk stuff, and Maximum Metal is one of my favourite books. This is a book mainly for games masters, because it's introducing the government and corporate things you can use against players. So we've got powered armor on here, and we've got military vehicles, and that's what this book mainly covers. But let's have a look at the back cover. Blazing tanks, screaming jet fighters, and stomping powered armor. Helicopters chasing a motorcyclist through twisting city streets. Corporate armor at war with some third world country. Huge metal forms crash a corporate board meeting. This is Maximum Metal in action. This is the military vehicle and powered armor supplement which tops off the Cyberpunk 2020 combat system. Tanks, artillery, ground support aircraft, and AVs, even advanced combat personal armor. Everything for near-future warfare is here. It's all tied together by a vehicle combat and design system that allows you to put your cyberpunkers right into the hottest action they've ever seen, with the metal taken to the max. So although it's insinuating that players can get to use this, I really would limit it. This is the heavy stuff you can bring out and use against your players. And it's cool to have. And it's very cool for players to get and draw through. So, military vehicles. We're straight in with talking through how powered armor relates to the vehicles and RPVs and drones. Got a few pages of rules here, maneuvering, chasing, and evading, so you can add chases and things, fleshing out the Cyberpunk vehicle system. Then we're on a very nice image of a sort of war zone. So you've got powered armor in the front here, an AV ahead with a tank, showing how these things will work together. It really builds the universe pretty well. Rocket and missile weapons, artillery, showing how these all work, different calibers of weapons, bombs. Just introducing everything, active countermeasures, active Gatling anti-missile system. So on larger vehicles you can have a Gatling gun which will shoot incoming missiles down. Communications, electronics, just all the stuff that you can fit out your vehicles with to take them up to military specifications. Look-down radar, radar detectors, terrain-following radar. And then we're into the vehicle catalogue itself. Now, not all of these have images, which is a big shame, but so many of them are familiar vehicles. So we've got the Arasaka Kuma Land Rover, which I'm guessing is very much like a modern-day Land Rover. The HMMWV Hummer, so it's going to be a Humvee. We all know these. Darkwing Assault Motorcycle. Pan-Europe Gladiator Armoured Car. And the way it details these, it goes into little pieces of information. An EEC creation. This armoured car is used a lot by the small countries that can't afford full-fledged mobile or main battle tanks. It does a fair job of making like a tank until a real tank rumbles onto the battlefield. So it's a lighter armoured vehicle, which is going to be great against people and great protecting its occupants against people. But against a tank, this is nothing. We've got a riot vehicle, which strikes me as being a bit odd, open at the top. Peterbilt 2000, so armoured trucks for carrying cargo across the wastelands. And then we're on to sort of more military vehicles, hover vehicles. So a small swamp skimmer type vehicle, hover truck, an airborne cavalry vehicle, what's it called? An ACAV. The Panzer, made famous by Combat Cab and numerous movies. So a hovering or hovercraft version of a tank. Various aircraft, so an autogyro. The Bell AH-99 gunship, so a modernized version of the AH-64 Apache. I'm trying to remember if that's the right one. The SM Dragon, so that's obviously an updated version of the big Russian helicopters you see in Rambo films and the like. Now on to Aerodynes, so the flying cars and small flying vehicles of the cyberpunk world. So this one is basically like a helicopter used for picking up small amounts of troops, and it's got some weapons armed on it. This is like a hovering version of the Apache itself. Medevac vehicle. So this one's got a swap out pod. Basically it can drop off its pod, as you can see it flying there without it, and swap it out for different ones to make it multi-purpose. The EC Air Jeep. And why does it bear an uncanny resemblance to Germany's old Kubelwagen? Yes, it looks like a World War II German vehicle. We've got Ospreys, so the planes with propellers like the, I can't even think of the modern day one, but where the propellers act like helicopter blades and then swap to more traditional flight. The A01 Blitz, so a modernized version of the A10 Thunderbolt. A Overlord airship, so an airship with a radar disc on it. Obviously it doesn't expend fuel, so it can stay up for much longer over a battlefield while providing radar support. Although I think that shows how this book is out of date already, because that role is catered for in the modern army by drones. They can loiter up there for a long time and provide radar support and easily be swapped out. They're much cheaper and a much smaller target than this massive airship, which would be easily taken out with a rocket. So we're on to tanks. So we've got the M11, so basically a version of the M1 Abrams American tank. The US M20 Super Heavy, so this is very much like the Nazi German Maus, the very heavy tank which would sink into muddy fields when driven across and turned out to be next to useless. Main battle tank, infantry fighting vehicle. The Militech MT4 main battle tank with sexy girl in bikini advertising it. That strikes me as being very cyberpunk, how weapons would be modelled like modern cars are. And then we're on to the powered armour section. So we've got the rules on how they take damage, all the different systems within them. I'll skip through. The linear frame. Communication systems, jetpacks and rockets for jumping over. Powered swords. A defensive system to blast anyone away. Rail guns. The Militech Commando set of powered armour. Russian Arms Boris, it's a bit more clunky but equally powerful. The Zetatech Grasshopper, which looks a bit Starship Troopers to me, and the way it's described, I think that's possibly what they had in mind, because it's supposed to use a jetpack and jump over the battlefield, very much like the Troopers did in the novelization of, or the novel of Starship Troopers. The Arasaka Standard B, so a Japanese style of set of powered armor. Mexican Metal's Nemesis Assault, so this is getting more towards battle tech, where the mecha armor becomes less human looking. Microsib Spider, and then we're on to tables supporting all that. The different equipment you can put in: rockets, missiles, anti-personnel weapons, vehicle charts, rules charts, and then powered armor specifications character sheet on the inside of the back cover. And that's Maximum Metal. I like this book a lot, even though some of my criticisms of Chromebook 2 can carry over to this, that it's kind of taking cyberpunk a step further forward into science fiction with flying vehicles, powered armor, etc., rather than the very near future that I've always felt that Cyberpunk 2020 was more like. But that's just me. This does an excellent job of bringing high-tech equipment into the battlefield, and is a really good book for games masters to get stuff to bully their characters with. Because it's no point in having a mega corporation which can't even face down your characters once they've got a few adventures under their belt and they're becoming very bulletproof. But anyway, as always, I've whittled on for far too long. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, as it does me massive favours with the YouTube algorithm. But most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.